Hello, friends of the Funky Play Brothers, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube. And today I'm reading Piggy, an original novel, Piggy the Cure by Terrance Crawford, #2, Chapter 2, Part 2. Now, let's continue where I left it, a cliffhanger last week. Of notes and reading off a list of dozens of assorted compounds and solutions. All right, that sounds good. Let's go then. Ollie yelled, placing the steel bar in a belt loop in a similar way to how he had seen Badgie do it. The same thing dozens of times. He set off down the upside of the hill, Badgie and Billy in tow as the sun began to set over the horizon. "Wait," Ben cried. He was trapezed down the hill after them. "Shouldn't we have kind of a plan? Do you even know where to get half of these things?" "Oh, Ben," came Ollie's sweet reply. "How many times do I tell you that you should pay attention in class?" By the time the Ben foursome had been there back in town, Ben's legs were running on borrowed energy. He had refused to the hospitality of the Silver Paw at first, but knowing that he had the safe place to return to, and that his parents were being taken care of was a load off his mind. It was not his legs. Night had fallen hours ago. By the time they reached the school, Ollie had been right. If Ben had paid more attention while he was in class, he would have recognized most of the chemicals listed on the notes from the lab. If Ben's defense, the last time he had stepped foot in a school, it had not been for academic reasons. The event replayed in Ben's head like they had just happened to him yesterday. He had been looking for Ollie, and after escaping one of the infected, he'd gone to the police station for help. The police station was already in the state of despair. The virus had already taken its toll there, but Ben had managed to escape with the help of Officer Doggy. Ben had outsmarted one of the zombie-like infected and filled the escape car with gasoline, allowing him and Officer Doggy to drive away from the station. They had run out of gas in the middle of the road and fled to the woods. That was the last time he seen Officer Doggy that night in the forest. Ben hoped the officer was all right, thriving somewhere off this virus-stricken island. But hope was all he had. On the edge of the forest, he found the walkie-talkie that led him to the school on a rescue mission. That was how he met Bunny, another in a long time of quick friends. Bunny had seemingly sacrificed herself at the metro station to buy Ben enough time to get onto the train. Ben shook his head to clear his thoughts, his fists clenched to resolve. That had been then. This was now. He was not going to lose any more close to this time around. He was going to save people. The quartered formed a small huddle as they reached the front of the door of the school. They were going to need a plan. There was no accounting for being taken by surprise, and this time they knew what they were walking into, enemy territory, just by looking up into the foggy night sky. Several of the infected could be identified by their silhouettes again in the classroom windows. All right, the last time I was here, there were 2 infected. I think one in the math classroom and one in the chemistry lab. Ben explained to the group. Now, obviously, the chemistry lab is our goal tonight. Billy's hand slowly raised in the air. Yes, Billy? Were there any infected in the social studies classroom last time you were here? I don't think so. Billy pumped his massive fist. Social studies was always my favorite. Okay, Ben trailed off. Any other questions? Nah, Badgie said. Let's just get this over with. Place gives me the heebie-jeebies. Ben nodded and pushed open the front door. Badgie was right. Even before, this place has become a nesting ground for the infected. It hasn't been exactly welcoming, unlike the day flooding the lower levels of the lab when they had entered. Artificial light spilled out on Ben, pushed open the doors, illuminated their faces as they entered the school. Even with the host of zombies using it as their home base, the building still smelled unmistakably like a school. The smell of old books, chalk dust, and cafeteria filled the air, undercut only slightly by the smell of zombies. Still, much of school looked just as it always had. The hallways and conference rooms seemed clear, but as the front door clicked shut loudly behind them, Ben heard the stirring of an infected, unmistakably grunting sound as they rose from their virus-included slumbers. Ben and Billy and Badgie followed Ollie and Ben, deferring to their expertise as they moved down the hallway toward the chemistry lab. Rows of deep red lockers lined the halls, each stacked unfortunately against cool gray walls. Each step that Billy took shook the ground, causing the lockers to rattle gently. The groaning was growing louder down the hall. A dozen infected poked their heads out of the classroom, eager to see what was the noise, and if it could be devoured. Do you remember the list of things we're here to get? Ben asked Badgie quietly. Not a single one, mate, Badgie replied honestly. Then you have just volunteered to be a distraction. The chemistry lab was at the end of the hallway, but the 6 infected creatures there stood in the way. Didn't look as if they were partial to disgustive reasons as they advanced. Their glowing red eyes focused on Billy and Badgie, who seemed to get the message almost immediately. Badgie shouted loudly a war cry before plowing through the middle of the group of zombies. Billy followed after, charging after Badgie with his barbell extended, and his footsteps rattled the lockers noisily. In an instant, the pair had disappeared down the hallway with the infected creatures in hot pursuit. Following Badgie and Billy's distraction, the infection abandoned their places in the classroom, making a mad dash for the chemistry lab. Ollie and Ben each took one side of the lab, tearing it apart of what they needed. Ollie was methodologizing, precise, knowing the contents of each vial and beaker that was beaked up and tucked into his waistband. Ben, on the other hand, was grabbing anything and everything he saw, throwing anything that looked even remotely helpful into Officer Doggy's backpack. Ben didn't know how much of a window he could count on Badgie and Billy for. Better to grab everything and sort out what they didn't need later. A telltale clang sound gave Ben more insensitive to pick up the pace. He would know the sounds of Billy's barbell colliding with someone's head anywhere. He stuffed more test tubes, beakers, and vials into the bag, throwing a thumbs up over his shoulder to Ollie, who returned the gesture. Ben hurried, zipping off the doggy's bag, shutting contents now clicking against one another as he slung the bag over his shoulder and ran out the door. Once again, Ollie was right when he said that Ben should pay more attention in school. Colliding almost directly with one of the infected, Ben practically bounced off the creature's chest. The smell almost instantly overpowered him. He rolled to avoid smashing any of the tubes in the bag. The creature was nearly twice his size. It opened its mouth to let out a blood-curdling roar, only to be met with a sharp swat from the steel bar Ollie taken from the lab. The thing recoiled, stunning, and Ollie swatted it a few more times until it fell to the ground unconscious. The duo hopped over the passed out infected, shutting the door behind them. A red key hung from a doorknob, and Ollie jammed it into the matching keyhole, twisted it, and locked the infected creature in the classroom before the two took off down the hall after their friends. Their friends, unfortunately, were not hard to find. 4 of the infected tried to force their way through one doorway all at once. Badgie audibly antagonizing them from the other side. Ollie dispatched one of the infected with his steel bar. Wow, Ben took down a Neville with Officer Doggy's taser stuck between Ben and Ollie and their prey. The 2 remaining infected pushed themselves through the doorway only to be taken down by a weighted barbell and a glowing jade rod. All the infected now were down except for one, lunging at Billy. The creature slashed, only to be met with a dull thud from a thick textbook. The creature recoiled, then fell as Billy tossed the textbook to his side. Social studies, always my favorite subject, he noted fondly, letting out a breath he had been holding for what seemed like forever. Did you guys get out what you needed? Ben hoisted his bag up, stopping test tubes clinking against one another affirmatively. You think we can get out of here now, Badgie whined. I've had enough nightmares while I end up back in school. Ben let out a tense chuckle as he reached out a hand to pull Ollie to his feet. Navigating their way back to the front door of the school was most certainly a less arduous task than getting to the lower classrooms. The infected creatures they had taken down in the classrooms were already beginning to stir, their horrible groans echoing throughout. The hallways, but the group had more than enough of a head start. Ben led the way, pushing the double doors of the school building open, and the 4 adventurers were greeted by the ever-present chill in the Lucan air. With the court took a moment to catch their breaths. It seems like that was all the time there was these days. A moment. Their moment was interrupted by a familiar but abrupt screech of Officer Doggy's walkie-talkie. Ben rambled to dig the device out of the old bag as Willow's authoritative bark came through as a garbled mess. The farther they got from the safe place, the more the signal seemed to be fading. Ben pressed his ear to the communication device, gently twisting the knob as the focused signal until he found the clearest frequency. Come in, Rollo. We hear you now. Well, finally, I've been trying to reach you. Plans for a better part of a half hour. Ben extended his arm, holding out a walkie-talkie so the others could hear through. Willow was having no problems making her voice heard through the outdated device. Sorry, boss, we've been busy. Badgie entered into the walkie-talkie. There was clearly not an answer that Willow was looking for. See, this is what I'm talking about. Underground, this, busy, that. What are you 4 up to? What did I say last time we spoke? That you had to see what the twins were up to, Ollie piped up. I said that I want real answers, Willow growled back. And another cliffhanger ending. I like that because this time I got a picture of Willow and pictures. I love these things. I love Piggy the Cure and Piggy Infected. So, friends, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter at the Funky Play Bros. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Funky Play Brothers. Support our vlog Cash App at the $sign Funky Play Bros. So yeah, more unboxings, more taste tests, more adventures, more money, and for support. Thank you for watching. Bye.